Okay, let's unpack this. We've got a massive stack of sources today, and they really reflect the complexity, of the modern global stage.
Yeah, things like huge cultural investments, really tense security situations, and then that delicate sort of tightrope walk of international trade diplomacy.
Exactly. These are the paradoxes we need to navigate.
For sure. And our mission for you, the listener, is, well, to find the surprising connections and the essential facts. These are stories where, ancient history, modern conflict, and global economics are all colliding.
Right. It's the shortcut to getting up to speed on these really diverse global updates. So we're diving into three main areas. First up, Egypt's brand new cultural landmark. It's enormous, and how it's being used sort of as leverage in this global debate about who owns ancient history.
Okay.
Then second, we'll look at the complex reality of tourism in China's Xinjiang region. Stunning scenery versus heavy surveillance.
A real contrast there.
And finally, we'll analyze that momentary pause, but a crucial one in the U.S. China trade relationship.
Okay, so where do we start? Sounds like history first.
We begin where history is making this, magnificent new entrance. The opening of the Grand Egyptian Museum.
Right, the GM.
The scale of this thing, it redefines what a national museum can be. We're talking about the Grand Egyptian Museum near the Great Pyramid of Khufu at Giza.
And it's the world's largest archaeological museum, spanning, 500,000 square meters?
Yeah, that's like 70 football pitches. It's staggering.
It really is. It's like this architectural declaration of cultural capability and independence, maybe. It holds 100,000 artifacts. Think about that. Covering 7 millennia, pre-dynastic, right through Greek and Roman times.
So it's more than just a tourist spot.
Oh, absolutely. It's a massive statement about, national control over the narrative, over their own history.
And the centerpiece, this is where it gets really interesting. It's the entire contents of King Tutankhamun's tomb.
All of it. Together.
All of it. Over 5,500 pieces. The gold mask, the throne, the chariots, everything. Displayed together for the first time since Howard Carter found the tomb in 1922.
Wow. That decision, it has to be strategic, right?
You'd think so.
According to the people involved, the goal was to give every visitor the complete experience Carter had. Like nothing hidden away in storage, nothing scattered around the world.
A complete unified vision.
Exactly. And that complete curation is key to understanding what comes next. It's this idea of museum diplomacy.
And the cost was huge, right? $1.2 billion.
Yep. And they're hoping for up to 8 million visitors a year, which could really help the tourism sector recover after all the regional crises.
Sure, but like you said, the ambition feels bigger than just ticket sales.
It is. It's geopolitical leverage.
How so?
Well, establishing the GM, the state-of-the-art facility, it massively strengthens the arguments from prominent Egyptian Egyptologists, people like Dr. Zahi Hawass, Dr. Monica Hanna.
We're getting artifacts back.
Precisely. For the return of key Egyptian antiquities currently held abroad. They're basically saying, look what we can do now. We can care for our history better than anyone. They're countering historical claims with very visible, very current capability.
And they're specific about what they want back.
Oh, yeah. They're not shy. 3 specific demands, symbolizing objects they say were taken under a colonialist pretext.
Okay, what are they?
First, the Rosetta Stone. That's in the British Museum, seized as war booty in 1799.
Right.
Second, the bust of Nefertiti. That's in Berlin. Egypt says German archaeologists basically smuggled it out.
Okay, and the third?
The Dendera Zodiac from the Louvre, apparently cut right out of the Temple of Hathor back in 1821.
So the argument now is, what? We built this amazing museum, so give us our stuff back.
Kind of, yeah. By showing they can perfectly house and present something as incredibly valuable and delicate as the entire Tutankhamun collection, they're shifting the burden of proof.
Right, it's not just about where it came from anymore.
Exactly, it's about capacity. If they can manage this huge, complex collection flawlessly, what's the justification for European museums keeping these key pieces? That's the implicit question.
Makes sense. And what's the reaction been from, say, the British Museum?
Well, publicly it's been cautious, maybe even a bit dismissive. The British Museum, for instance, has stated they've received no formal requests for either the return or the loan of the Rosetta Stone.
Interesting. So Egypt's building the case, building the museum.
Building the narrative, yeah.
Yeah.
And the physical infrastructure. But the actual formal bureaucratic fight, that might just be getting started.
Okay, so moving from, ancient cultural confidence to modern geopolitical control, we land in China's Xinjiang region.
Mm-hmm.
And the sources here paint this really stark paradox. On one hand, breathtaking natural beauty mountains, deserts, steppes, drawing 300 million tourists a year.
Huge numbers.
Huge. But then on the other hand, you have these disturbing allegations, right? The
Yeah.
things that put Xinjiang in the global headlines, surveillance restrictions.
It's a place that seems to demand a high degree of cognitive dissonance from visitors. And the sources give us two really contrasting tourist stories. There's a Mr. Sun, a tourist who admitted, having jitters before going.
Understandable.
But he ended up feeling the region was misunderstood. He didn't see it as tense or dangerous. He loved the sights, apparently, and became an advocate for reducing the stigma.
Okay, but what about the things everyone sees? The sources confirm heavy surveillance, right? Police checkpoints, cameras everywhere.
Oh, yeah, that's common. Foreigners have to stay in designated hotels, too. But Mr. Sun, he was reportedly unfazed. He argued that seeing security doesn't automatically mean there's a big problem. And that brings up a key question, doesn't it, for you, the listener? How relevant is that specific tourist's experience of feeling safe?
What do you mean?
Well, we need to look at the specifics of his experience. His group mainly traveled with Han Chinese drivers and guides. Han Chinese make up about 40% of the population there. So they didn't really interact much with the local Uyghur community.
Ah, right. So a potentially curated experience.
Potentially, yes. And then you have the other side of the story, a really critical counterpoint. It's the account of a Singaporean tourist, then Molly Silvadori.
And her experience was different.
Very different. She said she was quite disappointed. She and her friends, who wore hijabs, actually talked to some local Uyghur food vendors.
And what did they say?
Well, it's heartbreakingly direct. The vendors told them they were envious we could freely wear our hijabs.
Wow.
Yeah. And furthermore, Miss Silvadori and her group found they often weren't allowed to visit local mosques,
So one tourist sees safety and beauty.
while the other sees clear lines drawn around cultural expression and control.
It really highlights how those 300 million tourists might only be getting a carefully limited glimpse of the reality there.
Exactly. The very surveillance that Mr. Sun found reassuring is likely the mechanism enforcing the restrictions that disappointed Miss Silvadori. It's the same system, viewed from different perspectives.
Okay, shifting gears again, let's talk global economics, diplomacy, the U.S. China relationship.
Right, the recent meeting between President Trump and Xi Jinping in South Korea.
Yeah, and the description of the outcome was key, wasn't it? A
Yeah.
pause, but not an end to the trade and tech conflicts.
That distinction is crucial. A pause suggests things could restart. An end implies resolution. We're definitely in pause territory.
So what are the immediate results of this pause? What's actually changed?
Well, for now, the U.S. has agreed not to go ahead with planned increases in tariffs on Chinese goods. That's significant.
Okay, and from China's side?
China seems to have paused threats of imposing more export controls on things like rare earth materials.
So a de-escalation, at least for the moment.
For the moment, yes. But the really fundamental conflicts, the thorny issues, they're still hanging there, unresolved.
Like what?
The big one is export controls on those really powerful semiconductor chips. The U.S. hasn't decided whether to lift controls on those yet.
And China desperately needs those, right? For AI development, military tech.
Desperately. This isn't just about trade figures, it's strategic. It's about who leads in technology globally in the future.
And Taiwan. That flashpoint.
Also, intentionally kicked down the road, not resolved. The plan is maybe to revisit it during a potential Trump trip to China in April.
So it's a very tactical pause. Avoid a full breakdown, but don't give up any major strategic ground.
Precisely. And this is where the underlying public opinion shifts in the U.S. become really interesting, maybe even influential.
Oh, what's happening there?
We've got new polling data showing a massive swing. 53% of Americans now apparently want to pursue more cooperation with China.
53%. That's up from what?
40% in 2024. That's a huge jump in a short time.
Wow. What's driving that? Why the sudden shift towards cooperation?
Well, the analysis suggests it's primarily linked to registered Democrats.
Okay.
They seem to have become notably less confident in the U.S. economy's strength, its ability to kind of weather a long-term decoupling from China.
So less economic confidence makes cooperation seem like a better option.
It seems so. When confidence drops, cooperation looks more palatable than, continued antagonism. It might suggest a growing fear that the cost of confrontation is just getting too high.
Interesting. So you've got this partisan split emerging. Democrats leaning towards cooperation, maybe out of economic anxiety.
While Republicans largely still want to focus on limiting China's global power, that remains the primary goal for them.
So the diplomatic pause is happening just as the domestic political reasons for managing the rivalry seem to be fracturing, or at least shifting.
Exactly. It adds another layer of complexity to the whole situation.
Right. So while we're tracking these big, long-term geopolitical and economic trends, we also need to touch on some immediate critical security incidents.
Yeah, things that demand rapid responses and highlight emergency procedures. Our sources detail two recent ones.
Okay. First?
First, in the UK, a mass stabbing incident on a train. It was an L&ER train, London-bound, traveling from Doncaster towards King's Cross. The incident happened near Huntington.
And that triggered a major security response, I assume.
Immediately. 10 people were hospitalized. 9 of them had life-threatening injuries. 2 arrests were made pretty quickly at Huntington Station.
Wow.
And what's significant here, procedurally, is that the national code word Plato was initiated.
Plato. What's that signify?
It's the code for a suspected marauding terror attack. Now, it was later rescinded, but activating it shows that immediate capability to escalate the response. Armed police, air ambulances, the works.
And counterterrorism policing got involved.
They supported the investigation, yes. No motive has been disclosed yet. But the response itself and the major disruption it caused to the East Coast main line,
Okay.
it really underlines the massive operational challenge of handling something like this on critical public transport infrastructure.
Definitely. Okay, and the second incident.
That takes us to Mexico. A fatal fire and explosion at a convenience store. It was a Waldo's, which is like a dollar store format, in Hermosillo, Sonora State, northwestern Mexico.
Fatal. How bad was it?
Tragically bad. At least 23 people killed, including children, and another 11 or 12 injured.
Oh my God. What caused it?
Well, the preliminary investigation suggests most deaths were actually from inhalation of toxic gases, not directly from the fire.
Toxic gases.
Yeah. Authorities are being careful, investigating all possibilities, but they've said there's no indication the fire was intentionally set.
So an accident.
It's looking that way. The focus right now seems to be on a transformer that was located inside the store.
Inside, it seems unusual.
It does. And the timing made it even more tragic. It happened mid-afternoon. The store was packed with people shopping just before the Day of the Dead celebrations.
Awful.
It really puts a spotlight on things like infrastructure safety, building codes, regulatory oversight for the local authorities there. #outro.
So we've covered a huge amount of ground today.
Yeah.
From, that monumental cultural statement with the GM in Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
through the really complex security and tourism paradoxes in Xinjiang,
Right.
and landing on the high-stakes balancing act in U.S. China trade relations.
It's a real snapshot, isn't it, of how culture and control and commerce all intersect, how they define modern national power.
So what's the key takeaway here? What does this all mean for you, the listener?
Well, think about the GM. Its ability to showcase all of Tutankhamun's treasures, that demonstration of flawless curation, that political confidence, it feels like a new benchmark.
Yeah, as Dr. Monica Anna said, Egypt did its homework very well to manage this incredible history.
And that leads to our final, maybe provocative thought for you.
Okay.
If a nation's capacity for flawless curation becomes the ultimate justification for demanding history back, like we see with Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
and if a nation's capacity for total internal control, like the surveillance in Xinjiang, defines the limits of global access and shapes the tourist experience,
Right.
then where does global power really rest now? Is it still about historical origin? Or is it shifting towards current capacity, whether that's capacity for perfect cultural presentation or capacity for exercising total domestic control?
That's a deep question. And overlaid with that shifting American opinion on cooperation, driven perhaps by economic anxiety.
It suggests maybe economic self-interest is starting to challenge some of those established geopolitical stances.
Definitely something for you to mull over as these global dynamics keep evolving. That's our deep dive for today.